All right. Good morning. Oh, or wait, better yet. Yeah, that was good. All right. So, as I guess I haven't written it yet, but as we're going to give away in the title of this thing, this is the last one. This is the last time I'm going to talk to you. I've said it before, but this time I have to. This time I have to because even though I've kind of gotten the vibe before, you can only do this for so long. I was up in Maine again for the past week, or actually only 5 days this time, because we had a propeller accident with the boat that gets people back and forth from the island to the mainland, and I didn't want to end up stranded on the island, even though that does sound kind of romantic, although not so romantic when you're only there with a bunch of guys. So I went back a day early and then drove back to Baltimore. 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 We're going to get to that. We're going to get to a lot of things today. This is probably going to be long because it is the last one, and still I will not cover everything. And it'll be digressive. It'll be kind of a pain in your ass to get through, and you'll like hear stuff that you maybe believe and maybe things that you don't believe, and that's fine. Go through it, look into it yourself. But I'm going to sit where I am telling you, like, 6 decades digging into this shit, you notice patterns. They come over and over and over again. And, I've just been studying this since I was a theology scholarship student. I wasn't studying it then the way I'm studying it now, but it becomes this like ladder or pyramid, perhaps, as you learn stuff, right? So where to begin? Well, first off, let's say, I wonder where you're seeing this, because I have actually recorded several videos that Substack has edited. They added or censored, I should say. Substack has censored. They added a transcription thing. I'm not sure when, a couple times ago, but whenever they added that transcription thing, they started cutting pieces out of my videos when I would put them up. And I recorded 2 of them before I went to Maine, and they were both cut to pieces so badly that I didn't even post them. I might post a couple of them just for subscribers as a postscript or whatever. My paid subscribers, thank you for the new paid subscribers I've gotten. Still not as many as at my peak, and that's okay. I was trying to lose people because one of the things that I know is there is a algorithm about where they kill you. All right, there is. You got to get really up there, but you really got to be saying some stuff that's on the money that like dings the establishment. The people who could have people killed. And I've been trying to mix my, attacks across the board. So there's that. All right. Now, this is what I got. I mean, all of this stuff I kind of suspected. Wait a minute. Let me finish this. So, Substack is censoring me. That's why you haven't seen anything new. This is going to go on Substack, but I'm also going to put it on like Odyssey and YouTube and Rumble, and we'll see who lets this get through fully, right? Then we'll know, like, who has just like totally free speech, even if everything I'm saying is bullshit, right? Which it's not, but some of it might be wrong, and I invite you, please, don't take anything that I say verbatim and dig into it yourself. But don't throw it out. Don't throw out everything I say, because I can promise you a lot of it's right, or else I wouldn't be here where I am today. Look at my career. How the hell did I end up in this spot? Right? I've pissed off so many fucking people, although I made a lot of people a lot of money. Anyway, which might be why I'm still here, because while I was in Maine, man, did I get hit with great ideas. I got another $1 billion idea. Just like Shark Week, just like Coney 2012, just like a bunch of other stuff that you might not even know about that I had my hand in. Yeah, NDAs. $1 billion idea. And I'd be richer too. I didn't make the $1 billion, but I'd be richer too if I didn't get divorced. I don't begrudge, the money I don't have, because I am where I'm supposed to be. I like my life. I'm really, really good with things, but my life has to change now, because that's the other thing, all right? Wherever you're seeing this, Odyssey or whatever, the reason they're censoring this is because in this last show today, right, I might write some stuff, digression. Shout out to Howdy Misaki, sorry, Howdy. I really love your stuff, man. He's done really, really good stuff along the lines with Cynthia Sue Larson's Quantum Jumps. Again, I don't buy everything that Howdy says, but he's in the ballparks, as with Cynthia Sue Larson. We can change our reality, no question about it, which is why they're constantly telling you can't change your reality, or you're broken, you're right the way you are. You know, I mean, that whole, again, just digression. I'm not going to talk about that shitty new Spider-Man movie much. I mean, again, there's a magic spell for you. It's basically a remake of the Thunderbirds, right? The Shimmer takes over New York. Everybody's got to face their trauma. Chicks take over the movie from a masculine guy. I mean, it's really ridiculous. Both the guys cry. Punisher, toughest guy in the Marvel's universe, he cries. Spider-Man, right? He's maturing, but no, he cries. Yeah, you guys just love eat up your shit. Eat it right up. Spoon it right up. Go see the Odyssey a second time. You're all so smart. You're all so smart. See, this is why I got to move on, right? Right? Okay, now about that. All right, now, for a long time, I was recommending everybody go get this book off the CIA website, Bloodlines, the Illuminati, by the great Fritz Springmeier. Don't mean to give you, like, the wrong finger impression there. By Fritz Springmeier, who I have been, I was going to say blessed. Maybe it's blessed. Maybe it's lucky. Maybe it's chosen by Fritz, not by whoever, but maybe by whoever. Who knows? I don't know what's going on with that. I have been lucky enough, or informed enough, or something, or ballsy enough, because I just kept emailing him. Maybe that's all it was. I just kept emailing Fritz. Please talk to me. Anyway, I have talked to Fritz Springmeier on several occasions, and I learned that the version on the CIA website of Bloodlines of the Illuminati is your typical CIA bullshit, and that is half the book. It's half the book. And boy, did they leave the killer half out of it, let me tell you. So, the one thing, first off, just buy this. It's not easy to find. If you want to email me, I'll help you find it. It might cost you like $100, and it's worth it. But there is one thing I got to show you in here, and this is where we are, and this is what they told me when I was up in Maine. By the way, remote Maine. That's why I go. I went last year for a week. I went this year for 5 days. It's detached, or it had been detached, completely wireless free. There's no internet on the island. There's no TV. There's no cable. A lot of places are only running on solar power. Most places only have outhouses on this island. Way up in Maine. Way up in Maine. And so last year I went there, and I got a video about it. Maybe I'll provide a link to that. Because I wanted to shut all that shit out and try to commune with the muses, the gods, the things around us that we don't see, because they're all around us. We are not the top dog on this planet. And you better get that out of your head, because you're going to be learning it very soon, if you don't know it already. We are not top dog on this planet, but we do have free will to influence what goes on this planet. And that makes these things that we don't see not so happy. Not so happy. They want to tell us what to do, right? It's a 50-50 deal, though, things that we don't see. I figured that much out. So I figured a lot out, and the one thing that I got up in Maine was like, things I already kind of knew. You won, congrats, blah, 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 blah. Fauci's going down in flames. I helped my family's bloodline and karma. My dad was a big pharma executive, right? I had a nice childhood because my dad was a big pharma executive, and he never did anything fucked up as far as I know to anybody in our family or anything like that. So, there's that. But we obviously have some sort of magic in our bloodline. I've looked into my dad's mom, and there's some weird shit going on over there and all that, but we're not going to talk about that today, because what we are going to talk about, because we kick this off into this thing that's going to be way too long, but then you're never going to see me again, at least on this platform. You got to get your hands on this. This will help you out a lot. It's also going to tell you what's going on. All right, so this is in the book you buy that's not on the CIA website, and it's a pretty good one. Know this one. All right. And as Fritz Springmeier did not tell me out of the gate, but as I sort of figured out after he talked about the anarchy level over here. See, I only thought about the hierarchy level, where you're You go in, you take vows. You know, there are like dates where you do stuff and you got to do stuff like often sexual shit. You take these ritual vows, you end up in the hierarchy, and then you're set, right? You're all in the brotherhood or sisterhood or coven or grotto or whatever. And everybody inside that looks out for everybody else, except they're also trying to fuck each other over so they can move up the pyramid at the same time. And I really haven't wanted to have anything to do with that. As I've said here many times, I commune with the one true God and his son, Jesus Christ. That is it. That is really how I have done things while I've done things, all right? It has worked for me, and praise God for it. Praise God for it. Absolutely. But now, you can only go so far, apparently, inside the anarchy. All right? And I'll even tell you where I think I fall in this thing, because most of these anarchy things, you got to take vows. And I'm obviously not in the like Black Brotherhood, because that's like organized Satanism. All right. I'm not doing that, you know, like Johnny Depp might be over there. All right. And he's past that now. He's up here. He's gotten out of that if he is. All right. Over here, we got sort of the different, like weird Christian things that are like more Luciferian than Christian, best I can tell. I'm not in that because I'm not taking any vows. Right. Anyway, you got all these. I haven't taken any of these fucking vows. Where I am, though, and where they told me when I did my past life regression thing that I had to eject from because it was freaking me out, is over here. Over here. The original Illuminati crew. That's who either got in touch with me or has infused me or something like that. The original Bavarian Illuminati. And they got 13 of them. Right? You got 13 degrees. There's not this 33 degrees or secret. There's 13 degrees, which, there you go again. I was born on Friday the 13th. I was born on 4/13 at 4:13 a.m. Seems to me like that's where I'm tying into, which means then there is reincarnation, which means I used to be at least some sort of occultist and you know, maybe a Satanist or maybe a Luciferian. I don't know. All I can tell you is, in this realm right now, I'm throwing in with Jesus Christ, and you can do it or not. You can do it or not. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. However, if I want to learn more about what's going on in this realm and master it, it appears I need to move into the hierarchy. I don't know what that entails exactly, but I'm curious. I want to know, right? Because I know enough to know that I know a lot more already than tons and tons of people, and we're going to get into that in a second, all right? But I'll tell you this, whoever's watching this, I really don't fucking care. I'm not sucking a dick, all right? It's just not going to happen. All right, I'm not going to suck a dick. Nobody's sucking anything up my ass. Even for like eternal enlightenment, you promise it. No thanks, all right? Nobody's sticking anything up my ass. I'm not sucking anybody's dick, all right? I am here in this realm to answer to God himself and his son, Jesus Christ. That is it. And I've never heard from them, you need to suck a dick or stick anything in your ass, okay? Sorry. All right? You know? I have had women almost as hot as her want to stick things in my ass, but no, okay? So it's not happening. Not for enlightenment, it's not happening, all right? So let's just make that clear if we're going in the hierarchy, all right? I'm not breaking any crosses. I'm not doing any of that shit, all right? If that keeps me out, then so be it. So be it. But I can tell you what they're telling me, right? You know what they're telling me. They're telling you the same thing. You guys suck. You blew it. There is a change at the top. And you can let some of us in our way, or you can fall to fucking pieces. It's not me saying it. But what I am saying is that's why I got to stop this. I got more investigating to do, secret shit, all right? None more of this what I learned goes to you. You know way more than enough if you've been watching my videos. If you haven't, go back to the beginning. And then like look into other people like I've already talked to you about. You know, Mark Passio, you know, find his like real presentations, not that like those 3-hour things where he repeats himself all the time and has temper tantrums. Don't look at those. Look at his formal presentations, right? The one about natural law will change your life because it changed mine. All right. And yes, Mark Passio used to be a Satanist. Now he says he's not. I'm going to take his word for it because, again, by their fruits you shall know them. Mark Passio has enlightened a lot of people in a moral way. In a moral way. All right. And he says he's not a Satanist, yet they still have him on the books as a Satanist. And I will tell you this one more time on my way out the door today. If we all choose to live under the public tenets of Satanism, America would run okay. All right? All right? It's self-centered, but it's not immoral. All right? When you get into the secret shit, that's when it gets immoral, and that's why I don't want anything to do with you, because Jesus is for everybody. God is for everybody. If you don't like the fact that God is for everybody, then we're not on the same team. Right? Right? So, anyway. So I got to move into the hierarchy if I want to go any higher. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. To an extent. To an extent. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. And again, it might be, as I mentioned before, where are we? Fantastic. We're already at 16 minutes. This might end up being an hour or more. Can you believe it? It will definitely not be on Substack. They'll censor this to pieces. What a waste of time. All right, so look. We're going from the anarchy to the hierarchy, it seems, because we won. We've bounced things back at least one level, right? It might be the trans thing because they seem panicked and they're just like doubling down on everything. I saw some guy just got thrown out of a play in New York because he said something on Twitter years ago that like trans people like have a mental illness or something like that. That you can try that again. You know, all you're doing though is throwing gasoline on the fire of your destruction. Okay? By doing this. Do that. Censor people who say like a chick can't have a dick. Please, go right ahead. Go right ahead. Be emboldened by Ellen Page's success in the Odyssey. Odyssey. Chrissy Nolan's Odyssey. Go ahead, be emboldened. Please, please, please. You can rule Broadway. You probably will. Who cares? Broadway is insignificant. You made it insignificant. All right, so the other way I knew I was succeeding was because the attacks against me. Boom, boom, boom. Been around 60 years. I used to not notice when the occultists were going against me, but you can because they get ramped up. I noticed, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. First, a lot of ants show up. The parasites come, the bugs come, the insects come, the rodents come. That's how it worked. First, I had an infestation of ants. I have a few ants left now. I've killed most of them. Then my cat brought in a mouse, and the mouse got away from the cat. Cat caught it outside in the big new world, but couldn't catch it inside my house. Heard it rattling around in the walls. Got a trap for that. Killed that. And then one morning I went out. I just wanted to, it was a nice day. It was during the heat wave here. Yeah, it was during the heat wave here. And it was just like, oh, a nice morning. I looked on my phone or whatever. It was like 70 degrees, 71 degrees. Oh, great. Step outside the front. What do I see? Like some woman of indeterminate age, a crone, but maybe younger because the drugs had gotten to her and hollowed her out. But she's squatting across the street in front of my car, pissing and shitting. Can't see her do it, but it's obvious what's going on. In front of my car, behind another car, in front of the nice old lady across the street's house. And I confronted her and chased her off. And she was obviously possessed by a demon. I went inside and got an artifact and chased her off, told her not to come back. Don't come back. Don't come back. And once I confronted her with the talisman, she flipped out. That was when I knew she was a demon. She just became a 4-letter hurling person possessed by something who knew too much. Knew too much. Knew too much about me. Knew too much about that person's history that they should not be sharing. It was weird. It was weird, you know. So, yeah. Now, those things don't scare me. They used to maybe make me nervous or anxious. They don't anymore. It's a sign I've stirred the hive. I've stirred that beehive, wasp hive, witch coven. So anyway, all right. So, boom. Okay, did you make it this far? I hope you're still watching. 20 minutes. Now we got to the good stuff. All right. So Where to begin on this? Where to begin? All right, we'll start with the simple stuff. Again, pattern recognition, live a life a long time, and things stack up. Things stack up. When I was in my 20s, as I've mentioned before, I lived in Paris. I worked at Shakespeare and Company for the great George Whitman, another person who changed my life for the better. I was blessed or chosen or whatever you want to call it to work at Shakespeare Company. Let me tell you. Shakespeare and Company also had or has sub-basements. And through those sub-basements, even though I already kind of knew it, I had no idea to what extent, I learned that there is a whole nother city under Paris. And it's known, it's full of bones, but there's a whole other city under Paris. Just go looking into it yourself. That would be a nice short story, a fictionalized short story that I hope I finish someday about what I know about underground Paris. But as it turns out, there's a whole city under Baltimore. There's a whole city under Baltimore. And that's the thing that I found out that I'm starting to tell people. And I think maybe that's why they want me to shut the fuck up. Because there's a whole city under Baltimore. There's a whole city under Manhattan. And I knew that years ago because I have a buddy who's gone down there. The entirety of Manhattan is connected underground. From as north as you can go to as south as you can go. From Harlem to Wall Street. It's all underground and maybe out into the other boroughs that I don't know about. But Manhattan, there's a whole nother city under there. DC's got a whole nother city under there that I knew a long time ago. I dated a couple girls who worked on the Hill, right? But they had no idea or didn't tell me. One of them was a bloodline family, actually. One of them was a bloodline family. Great woman. Phenomenal woman, very smart. Very feminine. Killer legs. DC's got a whole city underground. LA has a whole city underground. That whole area in Hollywood, it's all connected. They all have their little private lives and meetings and all that underground. In fact, the only part you need to see from that movie Babylon, directed by the La La Land guy, all you need to do is watch those parts with Tobey Maguire as the cadaverous whatever he is in Babylon. There's a whole city under LA. There's a whole city under Seattle. Old city. All of these are old cities. There's a whole city under Portland, an old city. People told me there was a whole city under San Diego, but I never found it, and I went looking. It's possible this entire country is connected underground. In fact, I believe that to be the case. I think Elon Musk, lone scum, and his boring thing has been connecting old underground places. All right, so there's a whole another world underground. Right, Curtis Mayfield? Thank you, Curtis Mayfield. There's something going on in the skies. They continue to spray all that shit up there. I used to think it was just for one thing, right? The one thing I do know, right? Because there's only been one book, at least until pre-COVID, so 2010 sometimes, at least until the mid-2010s, there was only one book that the government came down on Trine Day Publishing and told them they could not publish, and that was the one about chemtrails. And this guy came forward, this whistleblower, and he said that what those are, and I've said this before in another video, but I'll tell you again because I don't presume everybody watches everything, is microscopic metals being used to surveil the world. All right, and we know that they can do it underground because as it came out, when that Titan submersible exploded, the Biden administration knew it the moment it happened because they got the whole underwater world wired. So they knew it happened, and then they used it as a distraction because there was something else going on at that same time. I don't recall what. Whatever was the big lie of that week. Because there's one every week. Every day now, probably. So yeah, they control the skies. I noticed up in Maine, like the skies did not get sprayed, and I noticed at some point when I was out in New England, maybe when I was in Massachusetts, around that's still in New England, around Boston, they were starting to spray the skies again. So, yeah, this is, I guess, a digression, but Jesus talked about reincarnation in his earlier stuff before they took all that out. And there's nothing in the Bible about the rapture. So whenever you see somebody talking about the rapture and they're going to take like 20,000 or 40,000 or whatever you want to call it out of here at once, you know what? This is like my third cup of coffee and I have to go to the bathroom. So I am going to, I guess, pause this. Can I pause this? Can I pick it up again? I guess not. Well, maybe I'll edit this out, but we'll see what happens. But I don't want that to be like a distraction for me. Maybe for you. I don't know. Anyway, I'll be right back. All right. Wow. Whew. Hopefully you fast forwarded through that part. You can see I'm intentionally not making this easy, right? Or maybe you didn't see it was intentional until just I told you. Just told you, which is the difference. Let me bring this up. Boy, this is going to be long, but that's good. There's good stuff here. Make sure you know the difference between stupid and ignorant. All right? Big difference. Big difference. Stupid people will never understand anything. They're just stupid. They have a low IQ. They can't comprehend stuff. That sort of stuff. All right? All right? A lot of people are just very stupid. Okay? It's why the Odyssey is doing well. Right? I don't know about stupid people in the Spider-Man movie. I just think people are so desperate for a good Spider-Man or a good comic book movie or something like that. But it's terrible. But that's all right. Who cares? I don't. Maybe a little bit. All right. This world is not what we think. Okay? Let's just get that out of the way. There's no rapture coming. There's no rapture coming. There's nothing in the Bible about the rapture. Anybody who's talking to you about the rapture is adding stuff that came in later and can't be trusted and might even be worse than that. Might even be worse than that. They might like kill all the best Christians overnight in the night. They could do it. They could. Well, I mean, unless God or Jesus or whatever intercedes, and they might be worried about that actually. But they could try to kill all the Christians overnight and just like make them disappear and then say, oh, look, the rapture happened. You're here. You're fucked. They might do that. I don't know if they can pull it off. They're so incompetent, right? I mean, the only thing they can do now is like bully people because like they're terrible at anything. Nobody believes anything except the stupid people. But we need to focus on the ignorant. The ignorant like can be taught stuff, right? Right? There are a lot of people who are kind of smart, but ignorant because the news is cancer, right? And entertainment is cancer, right? So they fail to stop. But I still think there's a spark of life in there. So, you know, there's not going to be any rapture, all right? There's not going to be any rapture. Anybody who's pushing the rapture should not be trusted. All right, so let's talk about a couple things. One of the reasons I came back to Baltimore for so many reasons. But I did know that it's an occult town, big time occult town, and it's got a whole nother city underneath it. which I'm shooting my mouth off about and is rattling some cages, I'm sure. Because look, first of all, remember, we are not the top of the food chain. We're not. We have a very limited sphere of what we can see. Very limited. All right? The way these things communicate to us, around us, signs, symbols, out of time. They are showing us timeless things because they are timeless. They are operating out of time. In fact, maybe they're trapped here. Maybe they can't get out. Maybe we become halfway vessels for them to experience things that they no longer can. I don't know. So, but what I can tell you, or maybe I can't tell you. I just sort of forgot where I was going with this. But that's all right. I got so much written down. That's the problem. Okay, so Old City. Here, the cat is sitting by the door. He came in when I went out to, go in here. Here you go, cat. Oh, wait. In fact, I'll show you this over here. This is good. Signs and symbols rule the world. And I think it was Alan Moore, but somebody pointed out along the lines that all of these occult symbols will show you, like cities are built on grids, like DC is built on a symbol. It's got a broken pentagram, okay? It has a broken pentagram. A broken pentagram, as best I've been able to tell, because again, I'm not into this stuff, I just research it. The best I can tell, a broken pentagram is worse than an inverted pentagram, okay? You got the pentagram, which is like for white witches and good Wiccan people, allegedly, so I've heard. You got the inverted pentagram, which is like the dark occultist types, right? It's like a star. If you pulled out your legs, like this, am I standing with your legs spread a bit? You look like a star standing up. An inverted pentagram, you're upside down. You're hung upside down. So you're inverting your humanity, or whatever you want to say. The broken pentagram is even worse than that. Now, Washington, D.C. is built on a broken pentagram. Baltimore, named after Lord Baltimore, but where does that Lord Baltimore bloodline actually go to? Ooh, I don't know, but I do know that they're constantly playing with language. They're constantly using their symbols, because letters in a language are symbols. Every letter is a symbol. And there you have it. Baltimore is Balls Town. Yes, it is. And here I am. Not ball. Into the belly of the beast. The beast is interesting. You got to admit it. Now, when they're playing with language and letters and all that sort of stuff, notice like how close a lot of things are. And this is how they communicate with each other and see each other and all that. Now, I recommend the books by both these guys. J. Parker, all right? J. Parker, he's written a lot about Arden, Delaware. He comes from a satanic family. He'll tell you a lot. He's been interviewed by a bunch of people. J. Parker, he's still alive. He still does interviews. He was on Kurt Metzger's show, and then it ended quite abruptly. Somebody in the background told him, okay, that's an hour, time to get off. I noticed that. J. Parker, find his interviews, find his books. Very close to the name Parker, a satanic family bloodline. Up there, not the top 13. Kurth Barker, not Keith. Kurth Barker. He's got, I think, 4 books. I've read 3 of them. The one you must read, the one book you must read by Kurth Barker is called High Adept Satanism, Blood Drinking, and Cannibalism. That book gives away a lot. A lot. And it dovetails with a lot of the things that I've learned in my 64 years, and you would be well served to let my experience help guide you through whatever's coming next. Don't trust me. Trust no one. But I've been on the money a lot more than not. And you know why? Because I thank God when it happens. I believe me, this is a 50-50 deal. 50-50 deal. Okay, so now, Baltimore. Oh, Jay Parker and Kurt Barker both point out, big deal here, cities, neighborhoods, towns, villages, anything like that. They communicate with each other. That it's run by occultists, dark occultists. They take the W out of town. So, and usually there'll be a town next to a ton. All right? Washington. All right? Obviously satanic town, right? I spent my high school years in Pittstown, which was like a sleepy little hamlet, not like loaded with a ton of people, but next to Pittstown was Clinton. There's some fucked up shit going on in Clinton that I just knew was fucked up at the time. Didn't really understand why it might be so fucked up. I know for a fact that at least 6 girls in my high school were sexually involved with teachers. At least 4 teachers. And I think about one of those fucking teachers now who is such a bully of us boys. I hope you're dead. I hope you're dead. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Another reason maybe I need this hierarchy thing is because they are going to pull the rug, and we're going to have I don't know what's coming next, but it's coming soon. It's coming soon. And where to go with this now? August. I think something is happening on 8/8/8, but just a guess, which is why I'm talking today on 8/4, right? Like 8s, crazy 8s, something's going on with the 8s. I noticed this before, pattern recognition with the 8s. So today is 8/4/8, August, the 8th month, 4, the 4th day of the month, and 8, 68, sorry, 26. 2026, 6 plus 2 is 8. So you got 8/4/8. And in 4 days, which is, I guess, Saturday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that's going to be 8/8/8. My guess is that something's going to happen on 8/8/8. But maybe not. Maybe not. Because here's the deal also. When you notice and recognize these things, they seem to be less likely to happen. In the same way there's that quantum physics thing where looking at the light patterns changes the way the light patterns appear. Again, Quantum Junks, Cynthia Sue Larson. All right, so I think everything is going to change, honestly, pretty soon. Maybe August, maybe September, whatever's coming is about to come. And I think it's happening faster than they expected, or at least that the people who think they're pulling the strings expected, which I told you we needed to do. We have flipped into whatever it is that was is no longer. We're somewhere else now. And also I want to give a shout, my professional acquaintance, Zeph Daniel. I watched a couple of his recent things. He knows what's going on too. He can see, and you know what? Zeph looks younger right now at this moment. Zeph is the screenwriter of Society. He's a horror auteur. I don't love all his stuff, but I recognize all of his stuff as a valid artistic creation inside the horror genre, which is not my favorite, but I do recognize the greatness of some of his films. Sinners was a great film, but not a flawless film, but a great film. But Zeph, look at his videos. He looks like 20 years younger than he did 20 months ago. I was just up at this thing. I live in a neighborhood. Like somebody asked, I was talking to one of my neighbors the other day. He thought I was in my late 40s. I'm 64. Right? Right? I see other people my age from like my high school. They look terrible. Not all of them. I did, like, up in Maine, there was one guy from my high school, and he's in very good shape. He's sinewy. He's got, like, no muscle fat. I mean, he's a rugged guy. He should be cutting down trees in Maine. Maybe he is, in fact. But let's talk about this Maine thing, because, and this is how we know, like, the people who know what's going on, think they know what's going on, are making plans, like, that a lot of people are going to die and this is all going to go to chaos. A lot of signs. I saw it up in Maine. Again, here's a couple. There's a guy up in Maine. He's like a Wall Street guy. He's been buying up little properties on all those islands. There's like 1,000 islands up in Maine. He's been buying up properties on islands, building self-sufficient homes there and living in it, and then doing it on another island. He's on his third island now. So he built a house that was completely self-sufficient, with a well, with the storage thing, all that. He could be there if things went to shit. After that was set, he bought a property on another island, built it there, sold the one he was in, and moved to the next one, which was nicer and bigger and had more stuff. Now he's on his third place, right? He finished it. He's living there. He's doing it on a fourth island now. And he's selling them to his buddies or other people, I don't know, who also want a bug out spot up in Maine on a self-sufficient island, because there's tons of fish up there and lobster. The only thing you got to deal with is the winters. So some people up there think they know what's going on. And if that was just one story, I'd let it be one story, but it's not one story. It's more than one story. When I first got to the island, because what happens is you go to the mainland, a guy comes out in the boat to get you, and then he brings you back. But he can't bring you back to the island itself at points because of tides. They come in and go. If they can't get you in when the tide is in a certain low, obviously, they have to go to a rowboat, or they get you in close enough. This is what happened. They get you in close enough. I waded in, had to take my shoes off, waded in, and then they went out to the rowboat, docked the big boat, and came in on the rowboat. So I had to wait like 10, 15 minutes. While I'm waiting down there at the beach, waiting for the guy to come in on the rowboat, this father comes down with his son. Good-looking guy, older, bearded, looks Scandinavian, turns out he was. And his kid, blonde-haired kid, 5, 6, he comes down, and the kid wants to go snorkeling. Dad goes out and swims a bit, but comes in. The kid continues to snorkel. We talk to each other, just ask him his name. And then he's like, and he then asked him his kid's name. And I'm not going to tell you anything about it, but I'm going to offer like similarities. Let's say the kid's name was Hudson, okay? Let's say the kid's name was Hudson, but it wasn't. It was a unique name associated with a very famous, award-winning Hollywood actor. But in this case, I'll tell you it was Hudson, all right? Because he tells me his son's name is Hudson. And I'm like, like Rock Hudson. The guy's like, well, I don't know who that is. I'm like, he was an actor, he was a Hollywood actor. I'm like, or Hudson Hawk, right? Like, the movie with Bruce Willis. The guy's like, I don't know who any of those things are. I don't know who any of those people are. Right? Not Rock Hudson, not Bruce Willis. You've never heard of these movies? I'm mentioning famous movies that this other actor that wasn't named Hudson is in. Never heard of them. So I thought that was interesting. So we start changing the subject. We talk about the island. I've been up to the island a couple times now. I think it's great. I love getting off grid, all that sort of stuff. And the guy's like, yeah, there used to be many, many people here. No, I asked him, he lived there year round. Do you live here year round? No. Sorry, I'm digressing. Because again, whatever. It turns out his family's had a house there for a long time. He's living with his dad right now, who's the grandfather of the young boy. They're living with him because they are building another house on the property for him to move his family there, so they can live self-sufficiently on this island, where the billionaire from Wall Street just also put a house. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I was like, people used to live here year-round, because I looked it up on Wikipedia. There used to be more than 100 people that lived on this island back in the day. I said there used to be like a whole civilization on this island. And he looks at me right in the eye, matter of fact, and says, and there will be again. So, it's coming. Nobody knows exactly what it is, or maybe a few do, but they've all been told something's coming. And get out of the cities. Get out of the places where there's lots of people. Go rural where you can still support yourself, and it might be tough. It might be tough, but at least you'll stand a chance. You can live on the fish up in northern Maine. Dig those ice things. Store them forever. When I was married to a Maine girl, her parents, her father would go out and hunt venison. They'd have a freezer full of frozen deer that they ate through the summer. Older, hardy people up there, not the soft, wimpy people of modern American cities. So, but other stuff got weirder, right? Other stuff got weirder. I got to show you this back here now, too, because how weird is it going to get? I don't know. They're pushing down. They're pushing down. They're going to push down more. Because the evil ones got here first, but it all happened outside time. The evil ones got here first. Now, like the other people, the other things, the other spirits are getting here. Because you can see the evil ones are panicked beyond belief. They're panicked beyond belief. Let me show you something else I noticed with their symbols and their letters and their language, and how once you're inside, you see it and you can't unsee it. All right, hold on. All right, so. Oh, doggone it. I moved the eraser out of the way, and then I can't find the eraser when I need it. But that's all right, because we do still live in a world of paper towels, and paper towels can clean things up just as well. All right, so we recognize, right? Baltimore, all right? Duh. All right, duh. All right, Washington, right? All right, uh-oh. Oh, am I losing my... Oh, how about that? Well, you know what? Maybe not wrong with that. Maybe that's not, because as much as we like the Holy Spirit and love it and welcome it, it is Christ above all. It is Christ above all. All right, so the other reason it's time for me to move on from the anarchy to the hierarchy is because I just recognize stuff. I'm just obviously pretty good at this. I don't know, it's obvious. It's both a bloodline thing. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about my grandmother, Dorothy, but, she was obviously some sort of witchy thing. And she was a wonderful woman, at least to me. Not so great to my dad, I think. Anyway, so I cleared that off. We'll get back to that in a second. But this is how the whole weird thing is. Okay, so at one point, when I'm off the island, to get lobster. I want to eat a lobster. So we're off the island on the mainland. Sitting in my car, waiting for my buddy to come back from the tow. He's got something on his toe for the boat or whatever. And this woman is walking up the road that I'm on. And I have no idea where this came from. Honestly, I don't. I really don't. I don't even know if I thought it or it just came out of my mouth. They were very close. But this woman's walking up. She's got on big dark glasses, but whatever. It's summer and it's kind of bright. And I'm like, hi. And she's like, hello. Right out of my mouth. I'm like, are you with the Collins bloodline? Are you of the Collins bloodline? Where that came from, I don't know. I mean, Susan Collins, majorly, but Collins, one of the 13 bloodlines, tough one, top one, might be the top magic bloodline. All right, might be. Read it, learn. You know, they got magic. They got one for like pharma and that sort of stuff, which falls under probably Collins. Remember Francis Collins, that evil fuck, right? Killed a lot of people. Francis Collins killed a lot of people. I see it. Francis Collins. Susan Collins, right? The senator. She's a tough cookie. Not interested in messing with any of you, but don't want you killing everybody either, okay? I realize it's a culling, but, you know, come on. All right, so this woman, I'm like, are you a Collins? And she stops and she says, no, I'm not. But my sister married into the Collins bloodline, which I thought was an odd way to state it. Don't you? My sister married into the Collins bloodline. And then, like, this just set off like a bunch of things in we talked for a little bit more, and then I said too much, and then she scurried away. I think she thought maybe I knew more than I do. And maybe I do know more and I just don't know it because I spotted her. I spotted her on the periphery. So now I want to show you something else. And this is how they recognize each other. And maybe just the spirits do, not even we as people. But watch this, because I'd heard this before. All right. You got the Collins bloodline. All right. C-O-L-L-I-N-S. Boy, that's clumsy. All right. But the L and the L together are a tell. Right? Here we go. Magic. L and L are a tell for the bloodline, for the Collins bloodline. All right? Here's how it works. Well, first off, notice how the LL in some typefaces looks like Twin Towers. Yes. Anyway. The Twin Towers, the Falling Band. Anyway. Oh, yeah. You're never going to get it all today. Never mind. Let's get back to Collins. All right. So, you still got, ooh, look at that, running out of ink. They don't want me telling you. Here, all right. Not everybody, but a lot of people inside the bloodline have the LL in the middle, consonant, vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel, consonant, not an S. Not an S. Okay? You know why no S? Because Collins, with an S, is the collective. All of them together. That's why it's a plural. It gets an S at the end. They all fall under Collins. Top flight bloodline. So now I see him. Tom Holland. Holland. You want to see my ex-wife's maiden name? Ooh. Okay. All right. Why drag her into this? But it was consonant, vowel, LL, vowel, consonant, consonant, not an S. Ugh. I'm not saying that these things are being orchestrated here. I don't in any way think my ex-wife tried to hunt me down in Atlanta and get me into that bloodline. I don't think that's what happened. I do think that there are forces in play outside time that are pushing down on us and causing connections and all that sort of stuff. Because as my brother will tell you, how did I know? How did I know? My ex-wife was playing the outfield at a church softball game at a church that I hadn't even joined yet. And my brother and I were walking up to the softball field. And she was in the outfield and she was shouting, "Hit it to me, hit it to me." And then she added, "But don't hit it hard." And I laughed. I could tell even from where I was, pretty far away, that she was a hottie. So I turned to my brother and I said, "That's the woman I'm going to marry." And she was. And she was. And we had a pretty good marriage for a couple of years, and then we didn't. And I will tell you, there were spiritual forces in play to pull us apart, and they succeeded. And my ex-wife will tell you that is very much the case. As I've said before, the marriage counselor, the shrink that we were seeing together, separately and together, took the things that we told him and used it to try to seduce my ex-wife. That's one of the most evil things that I can pretty much think of. Really. If I could find that guy's name, he was obviously CIA or some intel thing, some satanic fucked up thing. Hopefully he's dead too. I hope you're dead, wherever you are. In hell if you're dead. Not that there is a hell. There is no hell. That's the other thing too. There's reincarnation. You come back, better or worse, work your way up and down through the eternal food chain. At some point you get out of here. But if you go to Jesus, there's the cheat code. Bing, you're out. Or you can stay trapped here. It's up to you. So, but I'll tell you, I'm not breaking any crosses. Nobody's going with anything up my ass, and I'm not sucking a dick. Okay? Jesus got me here. He's done me right. So, all right. So, as it turns out, so I asked some questions about that guy. He's Danish royalty. The guy building the houses on the island. He's Scandinavian royalty. I forget all those countries. They're not all Danish, right? Is the Netherlands also? I'm not saying he's from the Netherlands, but like Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, I think it's Holland is the Netherlands, and then Finland, Sweden, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, and then the Netherlands. I know those three are the Scandinavian countries, and then the Netherlands. He's from one of those four countries. And he's royalty. And he's building a house with his dad on an island in Maine. So, you know what else I heard up there at this main thing? Okay, here's a good one. I should have front-loaded this, but whatever. Remember that old thing, the customer is always right? That's not what corporate America is telling their employees anymore. They're telling them different things or put the customer first. That's not what people are being told anymore. Now it's the business comes first. Get as much as you can out of the customer. Grind them flat. The customer comes last. The business comes first. Right? Wow. Customer is not always right. People are being told now. Customer is not always right. The business is always right. Which seems like even when I was on Madison Avenue, they were telling these executives, never apologize, never explain. I heard that a lot. They were telling all those upper level executives, never apologize, never explain. And so now we've gone to, it's business first, customer last. The business is always right. The customer is always wrong. You know, stuff like that, it can't last. Even in crony capitalism, it can't last. So, maybe I'm finishing up. Do I have much more? Oh, well, here's one other thing. It just leaves me, yeah. It might just be that another reason I got to go in the hierarchy, or they want me to go in the hierarchy, or they're trying to convince me to go in the hierarchy, is I've clearly taken out some of the lower bloodlines, or beaten them anyway, right? The Tates, I've been putting it up here to mock the Tates, right? Right? One of the Tates came after me. Where's she now? Where's she now? So my guess is the Tates have slipped. My guess is the Tates have slipped. Because like I've said before, and this is one of the things that they kept taking off of a Substack, the deaths of the Rockefeller and Rothschild patriarchs has caused a free-for-all. That's pretty much what you're seeing now. You're seeing a bloodline battle. And the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, they hated humanity. They were Molochians. They were death people. Death people, right? The Rockefellers bet on Jar Jar Abrams McGrath. That was a failure. Dumb move. Yeah. The McGraths are part of the Maine bloodline, New England Maine bloodline, the McGrath bloodline off the Rockefellers. So that fucking Hollywood cunt, Katie McGrath, who's married to Jar Jar Abrams McGrath, the hack, the awful, awful, talentless hack, right? Yeah, you bet wrong. You bet wrong. He sucks. He sucks. So, and also one of the Tates came after me, and praise God, because I certainly didn't do it on my own. Yeah. So my guess is all those bloodlines that thought they were hot shit for a century or two or three or five, they got too inbred, they got too arrogant, they got too stupid, or they got willfully ignorant. I don't know. Wow, over an hour. All right. So one last thing on the way out, because it does leave me a bit, whatever, who cares? Let me show you things. All right, so there you got Collins. Yeah. Oh, you know what? And I've stated this before. This might be where we are too. It was my understanding that like Ben Franklin learned enough about the Illuminati crew or the Satanic crew, whoever's running the show, that he became just such a thorn in their side that they just let him in. He didn't have to stick things up his ass, presumably. He didn't have to suck a dick, presumably. Didn't have to break a cross, although I think he probably did because he wanted to. So, let's remind me too. We got to talk about this guy here for a second. But wait. So, language, changing up letters, looking for patterns, symbols and signs rule the world. Confucius. Signs and symbols rule the world, not laws or rules. I thought that's okay. So I screwed it up somewhat. He doesn't say rules twice, but signs and symbols rule the world, not your laws. None of things like that. All right. Letters, alphabet, all that stuff. They're signs. They're symbols. That's why they want you to stop reading, right? They want you more rudimentary. They want you to see fewer signs. They want you to see fewer symbols. So here's another one. All right, so look. I told you before, Catholic Church is Luciferian, all right? That's actually a better place than where we've been. We've been Molochian. We're moving Luciferian. It's bumpy. All right, but the church, the Vatican, all right, they're Luciferian. We could do worse. However, where's my not eraser? What did I do with the... Here we are. All right, so... Also, I know a lot more about my own bloodline than I'm telling you, but I mean, it's easy to see out there. Easy enough to see out there. Siebert comes from Sivert, comes from Siegfried, killer of dragons. Sievert, the guy who was like a sieve, culling good from evil. Beats me. All right, but let's see. Do I got any letters left? I had a black one. Let's see. Oh, here we go. All right, Signs and symbols rule the world. They like their little jokes. They change around the letters. They change around the sounds. They change the meaning of words, right? Vaccine today doesn't mean what vaccine meant 10 years ago. Virus today doesn't mean what virus meant 10 years ago. Pandemic doesn't mean today what pandemic meant 10 years ago. You know? Global pandemic does not mean today what it meant 10 years ago. They changed all that stuff. Right? Hoping you're too ignorant to notice, because they already fooled the stupid. They got all the stupid. I'm trying to help the ignorant. Not just me, a lot of us. And the last spell is over, by the way. That's why we're moving on. The last spell, which I was part of, right? That whole thing with Department S and the actress turned astrologer turned witch of some stripe, I am sure. The divine Rosemary Nichols. The divine Rosemary Nichols, I think she's 23 in that, before Department S. Right? I was part of it. I didn't make it happen. That's the thing. Like, don't fool yourself. Don't humans fool yourself into thinking you're the ones who are doing this. You are not. All right? We are helping. We are vessels of some sort. But even things that turn out the way I want them to rarely turn out the way I thought they were going to. Right? I was going after the king of Hollywood. It wasn't the guy I thought it was. Okay? Hail St. Nick. Ho, ho, ho. All right, so. Catholic Church got this stuff called, or guys, women both, a saint. A saint. A saint. When I was living in Paris and working for the late, great George Whitman, who was another one, like, he told me a lot and showed me a lot and recommended a lot, but I never really got the impression that he liked me all that much. Really. Really. I knew he was jealous of the little hottie I ended up with in Paris, right? And yet, he helped me get her, but he desired her, but he would never would have had her. He was like 70 or whatever, you know? All right, and I was like prime time 22, and she was great. So, but anyway, I digress here because I was a Bond fan, all right? I was reading a Bond fan. I read a couple books of Shakespeare Company while I was there, or maybe just one, anyway. They would talk about Ian Fleming and all that, wanted to channel Ian Fleming, tried to channel Ian Fleming. Didn't know everything I know now about Ian Fleming, might not have tried to channel him then because I think I got a part of him. My writing certainly improved. So, but as I was, would talk about Fleming and Bond and all that sort of stuff, George Whitman, said to me, "You're not James Bond," he said, "You're not cruel enough to be James Bond." He says, "You're Simon Templar, if you want to be anybody in fiction. You should be reading Simon Templar by Leslie Charteris," or whatever the guy's name is. I'm bad with last names. Charteris or whatever, the saint. Simon Templar, the saint. That's who you are. And the saint later became James Bond, interestingly enough, on television. Roger Moore replaced Sean Connery as James Bond and brought a lighter touch to it. But you know what? I probably got a lighter touch myself. So that was when I started thinking, who knows what I started thinking. But I've always kept that in the back of my mind. And I've read a couple of those books. I've read all the Fleming books. Haven't read all the Saint books. Like 3, actually. I've read Saint in New York, a couple of the good ones. But it just occurred to me recently as, I realized that the Catholic Church is Luciferian. And whatever. I'm not going to peg everybody, but let's just talk about this. All right, so. The saint. Let's start scrambling some letters. Shall we? In fact, Maybe we give it a devil's tail. How about that? Now we'll respell saint. Right, 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 right. Oh boy. Satin, Satan. Hail Satin, hail Satan. Not me, not me. In fact, I wish I hadn't said that because, like, that's how they get people like The Rock who serve Satan, and all those people like say it on TV like it's a joke, or they just say it in passing. They say HS, and how I just said it, not intentionally. Hey, well, I'm not going to go re-record another hour and 10 minutes, 70 minutes. But I guess I'm just about done. I'm sure there's more stuff I could tell you, but I told you so much. You've probably missed some of my earlier videos. I wonder where you see this. Please tell me in the comments where you actually ended up seeing this, because right now, and I'm about to end, it's 11:11, or an hour and 11, and I'm going to end it at 11. Where did you see this? Where were you able to watch this in full? Terminal.